right, everyone, sitting across from me right now is Dr. Nelson, and I told you how awesome she was just a moment ago. You're going to hear how awesome she is when I interview her right now. And the first question, anytime we're getting to know one another, is, tell me a little bit about yourself. So, Dr. Nelson, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in a small town of 18,000, 90 miles outside of Chicago, in a working class family of 6. The first person in my family to earn a doctorate and the only woman to earn a college degree.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you.
And you've traveled a lot, though. So besides just getting the experience from school and your own personal history, tell me a little bit about your traveling.
Well, I love to explore people, culture, customs, and nature. So I've visited 34 states
Wow.
and 5 countries, and I've lived in Scotland for a time.
So you've worked with all different kinds of people in all different types of places.
Yes.
That is wonderful. I wish I could travel as much as you. And you've also had, what I would call personal challenges.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I've been divorced and widowed.
And so that helps with a lot of understanding that you've had all of this education and
Yes.
then practical experience with all different types and all different walks of people.
Yes.
And then your own tragedies too.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you, I know, have a focus and have focused on clinical psychology, but what else have you focused on?
Well, I have studied theology and pastoral care and counseling at Duke University and philosophy at University of Florida, and I earned a certificate from the American Council on Exercise in personal training and coaching.
And through all of that, what is your main focus? How do you help people?
My main focus is on human flourishing, helping people to become their best, mentally, emotionally, and physically, mind, body, spirit.
And when you're helping people become their best, you're helping people through a lot of pain and grief. Is that accurate?
Yes. Pain and suffering, grief and loss, and emotionally traumatic experiences are grist for the mill.
Okay. And, a lot of people don't recognize, but divorce is one of those periods of pain and loss and grief, right?
Yes.
And who do you look for as far as inspiration? Who's inspirational or motivational to you?
I like Viktor Frankl. He's an excellent source of inspiration. He is a survivor of the Holocaust, and he went on to become a neurologist and psychiatrist and founder of logotherapy and existential analysis. And he wrote an awesome book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in that book, he says that when faced with a hopeless situation, a situation of fate that cannot be changed, what matters most is to nobly bear witness to the uniquely human potential, which is to transform a personal tragedy into a triumph, to transform your predicament into human achievement. When we cannot change, when we're not able to change our situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that's what I did, and that's what I help people to do.
That is awesome. And that's where you're saying your focus is on human flourishing.
Yes.
And how long have you been working in this field?
20 years.
Okay, great. And what makes you love working in this field? It sounds like you're helping people through some tough challenges, so you're probably hearing some difficult things, but why do you like doing this?
Well, I'm very interested in helping people to transform tragedy into triumph, to self-actualizing potential, to extraordinary individuals. I love to come to know people and to understand them and to help them understand themselves. And I love the opportunity to be present in the moment without knowing what I'm going to learn or hear. And I love the opportunity to practice in a way that's consistent with my conscience, and I do that by not accepting insurance.
Okay. And why do you not accept insurance?
Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons I don't accept insurance. Moral, legal, ethical, philosophical. It's the whole thing about diagnosing human problems as pathology. I've never been interested in pathologizing human problems, sadness, grief, anxiety, depression. I've always been more interested in understanding what it's about rather than calling it something. So I don't have to label things something, which people can become attached to. So I don't have to do that, and I don't have to justify doing something I don't believe in.
Right.
So I can practice in a way that's consistent with my conscience
And for many clients that I work with, and especially divorcing clients, you know, they don't want a diagnosis, they just want to flourish, they want to transform. So that is awesome that you are here to help. And tell me a little bit more about how you help an average client. What do you do?
Well, I help people through open, honest, mutually respectful and trusting relationships. So through the formation of a relationship, that's how I help. I help to empower people to become their own therapist, teacher, parent, or partner, and to know themselves and sort things out on their own.
And what would you say it's like working with you?
Well, I think that it's challenging, hard work because I don't do it. I facilitate, but the change has to be because a person wants to change and is willing to do what needs to be done to change or to transform one's experience. And that's hard work because there might be a period of time where you don't want to be where you are. People don't want to be where they are often. If it's traumatic and grief and sadness. So sometimes people have to be right where they are until they're ready to move on.
And I know we've talked earlier about you've worked with a wide range of people from all walks of life. What would be a good fit as far as a client for you?
A client who wants to work with me and who is open and willing to look internally for the solutions rather than looking outside and blaming others. It's a human tendency. We all tend to go there, but it's not helpful. So someone who's open and motivated to look at themselves and to work with painful emotions and painful emotional experiences.
And divorce is one of those, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, and I've been through a divorce myself, so I understand exactly the amount of pain that it is, and it would have been awesome to work with someone through the tragedy to my triumph. What would you say are 3 tips you can give on how to cope with change or transition?
Well, I would say the mind leads the body. So take responsibility for your mental and emotional health. It's very important. We all need to do that. Number 2, we all have blind spots, and therefore we're all in need of somebody to help us to see ourselves and the way we look at things, to see others objectively. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And the third thing is to cultivate quality relationships. There's a TED Talk right now, it's out there by Robert Waldinger. He's a Harvard psychiatrist and professor and a Zen priest. And he is the director right now of the longest study on health and happiness that there is. It's 75 years in the running. And the takeaway of that study is that when we are in our 80s, what will determine our health and our happiness is not our money or fame or our cholesterol. It's the relationships. So cultivate quality relationships.
Wow, those are 3 great tips that we can all use. So thank you very much for your time today, Dr.